Globalization, the ever increasing interconnectedness of the world, is not a new phenomenon, but it accelerated when Western Europeans discovered the riches of the East. So let's first look at the word globalization. Let's define that. Globalization is the process by which businesses or other organizations develop international influence or start operating on an international scale. So we know that like the United like what you're the where you are at in the moment is considered national. Anything outside of that is called international. So when you have a business, let's say you have a business inside of your home, and you go outside of your house and go to like your neighbor's house or your neighbor's house, that's considered international within your little world, and that is like globalization. So it says globalization, the ever increasing interconnectedness of the world, meaning that the world is interconnected or united, not united quite, but connected by globalization. So the trading of goods and services is not a new phenomenon. So that since there's been people in this world who interact with each other, there's always been globalization. But it accelerated when Western Europeans discovered the riches of the East. Now, one thing about this sentence right here that I wonder about is like, okay, so we know that that the um the East had things, right? But and then we know that Western Europeans, they did go out, they did start to discover the world. But let's look into it deeper and find out if the East did the same thing at any point. So let's look into this. Because it says it accelerated when Western Europeans discovered the riches of the East. But when you're a chronologist, it's considered like history doesn't go just up and down or in a straight line. History goes in a more of a circular pattern. Some things repeat. Some things have what we call death, which is that's what we call death when things repeat. And then also, one moment. And then sometimes things they stop, and then they start again. So when it says it accelerated at that point, well, did it accelerate at any other point before that? So that's what the question we're trying to ask and answer in this part. So let's look into it. Let's start with Eastern Asia. I mean East Asia. I'm putting ancient because we're looking to see if it happened um before the Crusades, which was 1095 to 1291. Initially, globalization developed from the 1980s largely as an intensification of flows between developed countries, but a series of technological developments and policy shifts led to a wholesale shift of global manufacturing power. So I think it's saying that it accelerated in it is accelerated when Western Europeans discovered the riches of the East, meaning they began to go over there to find the riches of the East, and that caused them to share ideas with them. And then they said in the East, they began to share back with them in the 1980s. Like I know there was like the K-pop and the anime and things like that. That are considered globalizations from Asia. Let's see if there's anything before that that it says. Okay, so this is the World Economic Forum. It says a brief history of globalization. Okay, let's just see if there's a timeline here. Just looking over this. And you can see the link up here as well. Cause like when I study, I like to first scan over it, scan over like the titles, scan over the pictures, see if it has anything to do with what I'm studying, and then I go back and then I see, okay, what is it about this passage that I can read? So we scanned over it, and now let's read. So it says Silk Roads, 1st century BC. So let's double check what the 1st century BC is. And that was 100 BC and ended on the last day of the first BC. So BC means before Christ. So that would be one. So that would be from 100 to 1 BC before Christ. Got it. Okay. Let me just re-look at what this says. Okay, so this is just an introduction. Okay, so on the Silk Roads, it says. So it says China. For the first time in history, luxury products from China started to appear on the other side of the Eurasian continent in Rome. They got there after being hauled for thousands of miles across the Silk Road. So that's first globalization, as this website says. Then the spice routes. And this came from Islamic merchants. Then the age of discovery. And this is when they began to give back, or the interconnectedness began. And then 19th century to 1914. It says by the end of the 18th century, Great Britain had started to dominate the world both geographically through the establishment of the British Empire and technologically with innovations like the steam engine, the industrial weaving machine, and more. It was the era of the first industrial revolution. Okay, so that's right before and right afterwards. So what they're saying in this sentence is it accelerated because not only was the East going to other places and giving things, but also the West began to go over and start giving things, and that's what it means by the globalization accelerating. So I know this was a short video, but let's keep going with this